Welcome back to the garage. Today's video, we are turning this frame into a roller. It's basically the next step in building this vehicle out, and I want to get the thing up on wheels, on stands, so I can start putting weight on the suspension to see if everything is going to ride correctly. The front leaf, I don't know how much this thing's going to flatten out once I start putting weight on it. And I don't want my steering linkage to hit the bottom of the frame. So I got to start getting this thing assembled so that I can get weight in it to know if I have to redo my front mount or not. Like that perch might have to get redone. And I won't know until I get some work done on this thing. So the last video you saw me get the rear end put together. What I didn't show you was I finished up all the control arms, got them all welded. So they're ready to go back in. Enough talk, let's get some work done. Okay, we got the axle hanging and it's timed out now, but I love having this scale on here. I love knowing what everything weighs. And before I started assembling stuff, the frame itself weighed 180 pounds. The rear end, fully assembled with brakes, was 225. Now, with it hanging, I mean, it's not going to read now, but it was 245 hanging with, now it's kind of fighting the arms a bit, right? But yeah, 180 for the frame, 225 for the rear end. But yeah, she's all back together there. Now, I don't have coilovers for this yet. That's going to be one of the last things I buy. I need to know what the truck's going to weigh first before I buy my springs and stuff like that. So I basically need to put just a piece of steel where the shocks are going to be. Excuse me. So I need to put my mounts all together. For the top, I just picked up some shock mounting tabs. And for the bottom, I've shown these before already, but I've got these sweet billet black anodized lower offset, right? So they're offset to the inside. I think it's this side here. Lower mounts. And those came from Bears Performance as well, just like the 4-link setup did. So I'm going to get these guys tacked in place, and then once I've got my top tabs and my lower mounts put on, I'm basically just going to cut a piece of small angle iron, drill some holes, put that in place temporarily of where the shock's going to be or the coilover is going to be. That way I can still continue to build everything, and I don't have to try and support the rear end somehow, because right now I just have it hanging right from the crane. So So it'll just be fixed. And once I have an idea as to how much the back's gonna weigh, then we'll get the proper coilovers ordered. And yeah, one step at a time. So let's get this knocked out. Alright, so I saw in the video, I got the lower mounts on and I tacked the top tabs, but what you didn't see was I did weld them in solid, and then I made these temporary coilovers. It's just 1-inch angle iron, but that's essentially, I mean, that's close enough to the ride height that I'm going for. So next we got to put the wheels on. Now, I'm going to show you this. Oh, back it up. This was the shock from the front, and all I did was I just used this, which I mean, the average shock is about 1.25 inches wide, up like anywhere from 1.25 inches up to, well, anywhere from 1 inch to 1.5 inches really, but 1.25 inches I believe is the average. So I just used the shock from the front and used a bolt to squeeze the tabs to hold them in place. Made it a little easier to mount those tabs. Okay, time for the wheels. Well guys, you ready to see what this thing's gonna be rolling around on? So, of course, these are not what this thing is gonna be rolling the streets on. These are just basically so I can roll around the shop. They are just winter tires off of a Ford Explorer. They've got the same 5x4.5 bolt pattern. Now, the problem is, if you remember from the last video, I had to machine the middle of the rotor out to fit over the center part of the axle here. Well, this sucker is so big, there's certain rims that don't even want to fit it, including these guys. I was kind of hoping that they just bolt on no problem. I mean, I got these things super cheap just because, I mean, I hated the fact that I had to spend any money anyway, but I'm still waiting on front tires for the wheels I did purchase for it. And I mean, these are just temporary so I can move it around in the shop over the next couple months until the tires become available. So I'm gonna make do with what I got for now, and the only way these guys are gonna fit is if I use spacers. You'll see on the front, I put tape on the hub, or on the spindle, just to kind of protect it a bit. Or no, I was right when I said hub. And you'll see by the rust mark, that's as far on as the rim would go, because this guy tapers larger as it goes in. So I basically have to build that up that much, which is about 1/2 inch. And it doesn't leave me much stud, but that's fine. Like I said, this thing's not gonna hit the streets with those wheels on it. It's just to roll it around and to have something to sit on. So picked up just some cheap wheel spacers, and we're gonna make this work. We're gonna make these work. That's a truck thing right there. It's a truck, it should look like one, right? You know, if these things fit better, I would rock them for a while anyway. I wouldn't care. This truck would be badass even with these on it. One problem though, this sucker on this side, because this steering arm is longer, it's making a little bit of contact down there. She rubs a bit. I actually had to remove the weight because the weight would hit it and not turn it off. But I've already got two how thick are they? I think they're 3/16. Where are they? Sorry, 5/16. I got two 5/16 spacers on both sides in the front. And my lug nuts are not catching very much. These are long lug nuts, but I bet you they're only catching the first 3 or 4 threads on the stud. So I can't go any thicker with spacers. So for the limited amount of time that I'm going to be rolling this thing around, it'll be all right. It'll, like I said, self-clearance a bit. It'll wear the rust off the rim and be fine. But everything else, it's pretty good. As you can see behind me, that is what we're doing next. I built some cribbing, and basically we're just going to throw these under the wheels. Now hopefully I didn't build them too tall. They might be too tall. I may have to knock some boards out of the bottom of it. But the nice thing about using basically wooden car stands is now all the weight is on the wheels. So your suspension starts to act correctly. You can kind of see how everything's going to sit. And when you want to move around under the vehicle, like when I have to do all the plumbing and brake lines and everything, there isn't much room to move under the jack stands. So it just kind of gives you more space underneath. And to be honest, when you've got a footprint this wide, like when I was moving stuff around here, like I felt like at a couple points I was going to push the thing right over. These jack stands aren't very wide. So I feel safer with these under. I've never heard or seen these things fail before, and lots of guys use them. So we're gonna lift this whole chassis up, put those under, and that will be it for tonight. Well, that's definitely a nice working height as far as having to get underneath it goes. And it's sturdy. The downside is, and I already know it's going to be an issue, when I have to lift the cab up and I use the hoist and I bring the cab up and over, I know I can't lift the cab high enough to clear these wheels. So I'm either gonna, I still might because I think I can afford to drop the whole thing down a little bit. I might take a couple boards out of the bottom, and then whenever it comes time to put the cab on, I might just have to pull the front wheels off and basically just drop this right down on top of the cribbing without the wheels. Definitely progress. It's definitely starting to come together. But that's it for today. I'm going to bed. We'll see you later.